All right, fans, we're going to take some time to talk to Chris Dolack, one of the major players with the World of Outlaws. Chris, before we get into how I got to know you, what is your title with the Outlaws?
Officially, I am known as the Vice President of Media and Public Relations.
I first met Chris many years ago when he came to town to write an article. Well, he came to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and you started writing a racing article. We've maintained a friendship over the years. Let's start with that and then segue into how you got involved with the World of Outlaws.
Well, the racing, I've always had an interest in the racing, and it just sort of worked out into the Post-Gazette. And I know you were writing down there as well, and really just transferred.
Well, did they approach you, or did you?
Well, I was there. I actually joined the Post-Gazette more on the desk side, sort of behind the scenes. So there's a lot of people that actually put a paper out that nobody really sees, and I was one of those guys laying the pages out and doing that sort of thing, and then working on it sort of developed into doing a weekly racing page, which included a column and news and notes and all that sort of thing. And one thing sort of just leads to another, and I suppose it's the right spot at the right time. That's really the way it went.
People think a lot of the things that happen at a race with the World of Outlaws just happen. And you had mentioned normally you're the guy with the earpiece and you're behind the camera. Let's take a typical race night where you're doing whatever you need to do to make things happen. How does that go?
Well, it's tough to say that there's any race night that's typical, especially after we're just coming off of the King's Royal weekend, and that was definitely not typical. But usually you try to meet with some of the media folks in the afternoon, work on inviting them out during the course of the event before you get there, and then work with them throughout the night. But the race program itself is pretty straightforward. We have our drivers meeting hot laps, heat races, A-main, so forth, and that part of it's pretty much the same.
I find that the drivers are pretty cooperative. You know, they travel all over the country. They're on the road all the time. Yet you've had a couple come up. You have a couple more scheduled. They're pretty good about relating to the fans and doing the interviews and giving you what you need for the media.
These guys are great. They really are. These racers, and I've covered a lot of racing. I've covered the Cup racing and the Indy cars and drag racing and all that sort of stuff. These guys are some of the most fearless competitors. It doesn't matter what sport, just fearless competitors I've ever seen. And sometimes I'll even ask them, you know, why would you do this for a career? Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to drive a car at that speed into a corner with that wheels cranked and the danger and all of that. It's really amazing what they do, and the living that they make doing it. But these guys are every one of them are really, really good guys. I mean, they're great racers, but they're good guys. And they all understand what the goal is. They're all trying to entertain the fans out here. We have a good crowd tonight. We had a great crowd at Eldora over the weekend. Looking forward to going to Williams Grove and a big crowd there. And these guys know how to put a show on. They know how to entertain. But they're very, very, very competitive guys. Very competitive.
I'll tell you what I like, too. Most of them are family men.
Yep.
And whenever possible, when the kids are younger, they bring them with them. They have the motorhomes and so on. But they project an image which is very positive for the young fans in the grandstand. They don't have the issues that some of the stick and ball sports have, where there's some bad apples in the bunch. And by and large, we're proud of our guys no matter where they are.
Definitely. You know, at the end of the night, where else can you go at the end of the night? You can't do it at a baseball game or a football game, that when the checkered flag waves or the race is over, you know, there's nowhere else you can go and go meet the superstars, go up and get their autograph at the end of the night.
One night here was a regular sprint show. It was raining, and I was walking down to the pits, and Ed Lynch Jr. was with me. And a special needs person, young man, stopped him for an autograph in a torrential downpour, and he stopped, took the young man where we could get under some shelter, and talked to him and signed an autograph. And I thought, this is what it's all about. This is why these guys are special.
Yep, that's why the people come back year after year. They follow these guys passionately. And the fans are the best fans in the world, and the drivers are the best drivers in the world. And these guys, they'll go way out of their way to accommodate a fan. All of them, every one of them.
I've been fortunate to be here for all of the Don Martin memorials, and I know that time and time again the drivers would come up. They really liked coming to Lernerville, the way they were treated. Don Martin set a precedent that you know, and the folks here now are trying to continue that, where you make the drivers appreciate the fact that they're here. You make them feel special, and they return that with the fans in the stands, in the pits, autographs. And, you know, I think the novelties, the T-shirts, the autographs, that's a big part of it, because there's a lot of proud fans walking around with their favorite driver's shirt on.
Definitely. You know, I've been fortunate in this, in working with the World of Outlaws now for, this is 6th or 7th season that I've been involved, and it's allowed me the opportunity to go all over the country, into Canada and all over the place, and it comes back to Lernerville a lot for me and for a lot of these guys. The fans here are some of the best I've seen anywhere in the country. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. The people here care, really in Pennsylvania, but Lernerville in particular. There's passionate fans. The folks really care about their racing, whether it's sprint cars or even the Friday night, the Fab Four Friday night with everybody there. That's the great part about here. The media, we were talking with some other guys up there. You'll go to some places in the country where you come to town, it's a big show, everybody comes out, but then you leave and they forget about you. When you come to Lernerville, or you come to Pennsylvania, it's a big show. People are waiting for you to get here. They can't wait for you to get here. And when you leave, they're still excited about what they saw.
Well, a friend of both of us, Tom Zook, did a real nice story on our champion, or the 4-time champion. And Tom keeps everybody up to date. You know, you talk about coming home. Lynn Geisler, late model champion here for many years. His son, Ben, is part of your organization.
Yep, Ben is... It shows you how small a world it is, really. I had been down there been working with the Outlaws for about a year, and then Ben came on board, and then of course Ben's brother Travis is not too far from where we are down in the Charlotte area now, and so it really does show you that this racing world is not that big, which leads to what we were talking about before with the family atmosphere and all that. Everybody does really care about everybody else out here. It is everybody traveling together up and down the road, and when somebody needs some help with something, everybody else pitches in. The classic case of this was Saturday night in the A main at Eldora. We were working on the broadcast for Speed, and Jack Hodenshield comes in the work area, had front end damage. And I said to one of the other guys as we were there covering it, I said, look at the number of drivers and other crews that are a part of this. And Darren Pittman was there, and Craig Kinzer was there, and the guys from Luke Dolansky, Craig's kid, he was down there. I couldn't tell you, it must have been 5, 6, 7 different teams just pouring their hearts into replacing the front end so that Jack could get back out, knowing what it means to him at that particular race to get back out on the track. And it's that sort of stuff that you just don't get in any other sport, really almost any other form of racing, is that sort of teamwork and that sort of camaraderie, and it's true top to bottom.
In closing, is there anything we need to cover?
No, I think we covered it. It's good to see you again.
Talking to good friend Chris Dolack from the World of Outlaws, and we thank you for being with us tonight.
Thanks, Don.